I think that the digital technology piece itself, I think what was interesting was that we were coming up with common kinds of issues that we had with the use of technology, how to figure out what kind of software we would need, how to figure out where to take students on campus, sort of like, is it just the digital media lab, is it other places, etc. So I think what I was learning was that in fact across disciplines there's lots of the same kinds of questions that people are asking. They're just asking those questions from different perspectives. And I think that was really interesting to sort of figure out, how to use, for instance, digital technology all at the same time, but for various different purposes.
I've done a lot of work with students in research, but working with Erin Deary was kind of new to me in terms of she really was more part of the team, and really had a huge impact in terms of where the project went and the creative process. So I think that was the biggest change for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've done more extensive work with the Dixon Gallery and Garden since then. And yeah, I think I'm more inclined to work with community partners, but also realize some of the differences in their perception of like what we provide and what their role is and what our role is. So I'm like inclined to take risks, but also realize like it's not always going to be amazing or work out how you think it's going to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just helped us, I think, expanding the network on campus. As I said earlier, breaking down these silos and talking to people in other departments, talking to students that I wouldn't have talked to, talking to staff members I wouldn't have met otherwise. That definitely was a big thing, I think. And I still talk to some of them, and the project keeps living on. I mean, that's the great thing. It was a year period, but it really started before, and it continues to grow and influence things. And so one thing that really came out of this that was really interesting is that in our German program, we started using these portfolios, but in a new way. So we found that reflective portfolios for a first-year language class don't really work because you can't reflect in the target language, so you have to revert back to English, to your mother tongue here in the US. And so, but we still wanted to use this. So what we started doing is we built fake portfolios or fictional portfolios. So that was really great. So the students had created a city. We have a virtual city that the students are creating throughout the German curriculum now, and they develop their characters, and their characters have a website. They have a portfolio, they have a CV, they start businesses, they live together as students, so they basically mimic life. And so it's been a really fun experience for everybody to build this. And so people became lawyers, people became doctors, whatever their professional interests might be. So it kind of connected to the other majors possibly. And we're still working on this. This has been going on since then for 2 years now, and it's getting some national attention and international attention. And so it's been a growing project. And so the portfolios are a big part of this that kind of triggered this. So I think that's great for like work in these communities of practice. You don't know where it's going to take you, right? So it's going to go in different ways, and there are linear paths and stuff that other people have done, but talking to a bunch of different people and figuring out what you really need, I think then you have these light bulb moments and you go in a totally new direction. And you wouldn't have done that had you not gotten together and had this free time and space to think about it. And I think that really was it. There was some time carved out. There was a space carved out to sit down and think about nothing else. And that doesn't happen very often anymore for most professors, for most students, for most staff. There's so much going on day-to-day routine business and emails to be taken care of, meetings to go to, all of those things that having a chunk of time that you just set aside, I think that was key. And this was often in the evening, and usually, you would have dinner at home maybe. This was something we had dinner together, we talked to each other, and you just committed to this from the get-go. And I think that in itself was extremely valuable, I have to say. And all the like little technical stuff and things, I mean, they were great too, but I think things had just happened on multiple levels, because then in between I would work with the fellows, for example, and we'd figure things out and said, well, let's look at it from that way, or there's technical issues, what do we want to do? So I think that the work happened on many different levels and at different times, and the intensity was different every time too. So.